This video is brought to you by the 3-Minute Board Game patrons. Keep us independent by supporting us on Patreon. Kia ora koutou, and welcome to Hegemony in about 3 minutes. My version has a solo mode. It's a game for 1 to 4 players, playing time is long, and it's a pretty complex game. In Hegemony, you represent a class of people, or the state. Can you maximize the options presented to you to score the most points? The game ends after 5 full rounds of play, with each round having 5 actions for each player. The winner is the player with the most points at that time. Asymmetry. Each faction has different rules and ways to score points. Card management. There are many different types of cards to manage in this game. Player turn. Each player has a central board that tracks their core information. Each round you will start with 7 cards from your special faction deck. When it is your turn, you will choose one of these cards to play, either for the effect shown on the card, or you can discard a card without effect to take a basic action on your player sheet. You do this 5 times each round. You may also take a free action. Each faction has different actions, so instead of looking at them too closely, let's talk about what each faction wants to do. The working class wants to get employment at businesses for good wages, so they can earn income. That income is then turned into food, education, health, and consumer goods. Health creates more workers, education trains them, and consumer goods and the other two increase prosperity, which is the main way the workers score points. Having lots of workers in specific industries lets you set up unions, which grants you influence needed to keep government policies from harming workers. The capitalist class wants to start businesses but needs workers to make those businesses operate. By paying wages to the player who controls those workers, they will produce goods. They can then sell those goods to other players or export them. Either way, they are looking to make money on the deal. After paying their taxes on the number of businesses they own and their profits, the capitalist player moves their revenue to capital, which is their main way of scoring points. The middle class player is in between and can earn salaries for working at the capitalist businesses, or they can start their own small businesses and produce goods for themselves. They also score points through increasing their prosperity with health, education, and consumer goods. And the state player is trying to balance out all the other players and deal with incidents and events, while providing benefits to the other players in exchange for points. They also provide public services whose prices change based on policy and public sector businesses. As an action, any player may call a vote, and at the end of the round each vote is resolved. Each player decides if they are for or against. Then 5 cubes are drawn from a bag. You can use actions to add more cubes to the bag. Then all players secretly reveal purple influence cubes, and the combined best total wins the vote. That moves that policy. Right policies favor the capitalist and left the workers. During the game, workers will immigrate into the country, and new businesses, when formed, will take workers from this pool. The workers and middle class players can also move their workers to new jobs. Why would you like this game? Hegemony is a tricky game to review because while you can talk about it as a game, its publishers have chosen to market it as something much grander, an educational tool about how countries work. I'm choosing to focus on gameplay in this review, and for that, each of the 4 factions has their own puzzle to solve on how to maximize points within their role in the game. There are quite a few fun and interesting interactions around wages, prices, and commodities, and what the state can and can't produce. And for a group that loves complexity and interaction, there is some potential for fun and a challenge here. There's a ton happening, but I definitely only recommend it to very experienced gamers. The best thing about this game is its player aids. They make teaching the different factions a lot easier. However, I found the core gameplay lacking in dynamism. Each faction feels very limited in their actual decision space, and I found myself doing obvious move after obvious move each play. And at the end of the game, nothing fundamentally feels different than when we started. There's just more stuff on the board. It looks like a sandbox to explore, but the game's experience is closer to working in a 4-partition cubicle farm. For a far faster and more dynamic game, try Brass Birmingham. And for another big Euro game, try On Mars. Hegemony, status quo the game. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the notification button, like, share, and subscribe to the channel.